are still practicing the neo-colonial attitude of treating people as if they don't really matter, you either take it or leave it. And that's not the case under the peace agreement. We are legitimate stakeholders. The Burgundy Peace Agreement empowers the people of Bougainville, and that is one of the most basic reasons why Bougainville has been given autonomous powers, and that is to solve its own problems, and not to have somebody else giving them prefabricated answers, which are no answers at all.
The autonomous Bougainville government president, John Lomas. Difficulties with negotiating the Pacer Plus trade agreement for Pacific Islands have come to light as a public presentation in Auckland. The chief trade negotiator for the Pacific Islands, Dr. Egwene Kisi, defended the negotiating process and the level of transparency from participating countries, but lamented Papua New Guinea's exit from the discussions. In the face of criticism, he said people had unrealistic expectations of trade agreements, and there's been a huge effort to ensure a level playing field at the negotiation table. Alex Perry reports.
Dr. Egwene Kisi says Pacer Plus is badly needed. The Pacific has 0.05% share of the world's trade, and the region is close to getting an agreement that will lead to a fairer go. He says it's worth forging ahead, even without the Pacific's biggest economy, PNG. And he hopes it can get on board when the agreement is finalised at the end of the year. But others say that ship has sailed, and even Dr. Kisi says there's been extra efforts to get the next biggest player, Fiji, happy.
New Zealand and Australia have been engaging Fiji and in the margins of the negotiation to try to resolve. And I think they have made good progress. A number of the issues have been resolved to the satisfaction of Fiji, and I hope that Fiji will soon table their offers.
Auckland University's Associate Professor Yvonne Underhill-Sem says the going has been tough, given the range of countries as small as Niue and as large as PNG. She says even the sub-regional Melanesian Spearhead Group has seen its own free trade agreement splinter, with PNG preferring bilateral arrangements. She says despite our concerns, PNG has every right to keep its distance from Pacer Plus.
I'm not entirely convinced that PNG's got it right and the way it needs to go. I have more consensus about the way it's dealing with extractors at the moment. So I wouldn't say it's on the right road, but it's got the sovereign right to do that. And I think by locking itself into something like Pacer Plus, it loses some of that sovereignty. And why would you want to do that?
She says helping PNG protect its commodities and deal with extractors is completely different to encouraging agricultural growth in countries like Tonga, Niue and Samoa.
There's so much diversity around the Pacific that we need to focus on each country and ask the question of where does trade fit in its wider development aspirations.
There's been criticism that the trade agreement might impose World Trade Organization standards on countries that don't have the capacity to handle them, and there's not enough emphasis on development. But Dr. Kisi says people have unrealistic expectations on trade agreements, and they're not a panacea, but a framework that imposes little and gives countries plenty of flexibility to protect their own industries and revenue streams. New Zealand's chief negotiator, Tese Temata, says there are more resources going into this trade agreement than in any other region or country, and the idea of aid and development is at its core. She says the proof is already there with increased commitments to bring more Pacific workers to Australia and New Zealand.
We aren't waiting for Pacer Plus to be signed. There's not many trade agreements in the world where we start rolling out the benefits before we actually sign the agreements. We've already got a couple of pilots underway, crews on ships, dealing with the Canterbury rebuild. So we're not just looking at the RSE workers, we're looking at what other accessible labour skills that the Pacific can help New Zealand with.
And in the face of criticism that New Zealand is not doing enough to help Pacific exporters get their product through the tough quarantine standards, she says New Zealand has heard those voices and is working towards doing more.
These things take time. We're getting requests from all over the world. It's not just from the Pacific. And the Pacific, proportionately actually has more resources dedicated to processing their requests than any other region in the world. We're doing as much as we can and we're looking at ways to do more. New Zealand's not slacking on this. I mean, the Pacific are our nearest neighbours. It's